I recently made these fun music note coasters out of 2 layers of acrylic, and after I'd glue the 2 pieces on top of each other, I'd put it back into the Glowforge for a final perimeter cut to clean up the edges. And when I was doing that, I realized how much time I was wasting trying to perfectly line up that cut path on top of my coaster. So what I did is I made a simple alignment jig to help position my artwork perfectly on top of my coaster every single time. Now this is a jig that I used for coasters, but you can adapt it to whatever project that you're working on. So let me first show you what I was doing and then how the jig greatly improved the process. So what I was doing is after I had glued all the pieces together, I would put the coaster back into the Glowforge, try to make sure it was perfectly straight. Then I would go into the app and spend more time trying to get my cut path perfectly aligned on top of my coaster. Once I trimmed the border of my coasters, I would start that process all over again. I would put my new coaster in, which is now in a different location as the last, which means I have to position my artwork again, and so on. If I were to sell a lot of these, imagine the time I would be wasting just on this process. So for your jig, there's 2 things that need to be aligned. The jig needs to be in a definite location in the Glowforge, and then your artwork needs to be in a definite location in the app. For me, I'm going to position my jig in the bottom left corner of the Glowforge because it's a hard, definite location. I'm going to push my jig all the way against the door until it stops, and then push it all the way to the left until it stops. And when I need to come back to these coasters in the future and make more of them, I know exactly where to position my jig. So what I'm going to do is cut a hole for my coasters to go in so that when I put my coasters in the Glowforge, they'll be in the same exact spot every time. Next, I'll go into the app and position my coaster cutout about where I want it, and then I'll come down to this ruler and I'll type in a position. Preferably a nice round number that's easy to remember. I'm just going to choose 9 in the X and 6 in the Y. Then I'll cut it out. I'll now place my coaster in that cutout and bring in the file to trim the edges of my coaster. I'll give this file those same coordinates I just used for my cutout, and now my file will be perfectly positioned on top of my coasters. Let's cut it out. Lastly, I'm going to engrave the name of my project and the coordinates of my artwork onto my jig, so if I put this down and come back to it a month from now, I'll know exactly where to place my artwork in the app. Now, if you want to get really efficient, why only make a jig that holds 1 part? Why not make a jig that holds 10 parts or 20 parts and just cut them all at the same time? So you can tailor this jig idea to whatever project you're working on to help your Glowforge business operate more efficiently. And speaking of efficiency, if you're looking for a more efficient way to exhaust the fumes out of your Glowforge, check out martinsonmanufacturing.com to find high-quality exhaust adapters for your Glowforge, all of which come with free shipping and a perfect fit guarantee. Well, I hope this video was a help to you guys. I hope it helps you go further in your Glowforge journey. Until next time, happy Glowforging.